Before we start,
introduction.
Well, let me just do something here. Okay. Just so everybody knows I'm really a real person, because they haven't seen me for several years. I'm Nigel. I'm the district trainer, and I've been around a lot longer than I'd like to admit. Been district trainer about twice before, district secretary once, and now just in the background. I'm just happy to be here to be part of Lyle's team. So welcome everybody. Lyle did ask us to ask, I think, Natalie and Vicky to just let everybody know that unfortunately, this is from the French territories. We weren't able to get the slides and a simultaneous translation at the same time. So that what is going to happen is that this is going to be repeated for the French territories in French at a later date. Vicky or Natalie, if you all want to just, for the sake of the French speaking audience, if you can let them know.
Oui, c'est Vicky. Je prends la parole rapidement pour expliquer qu'en fait, la visioconférence va avoir lieu en anglais, pardon, et que moi, je la retranscrirai en français pour les francophones dans les jours à venir. Donc, comme ça, vous aurez une partie en français. Vous avez bien compris. Est-ce que je pourrais savoir combien il y a de francophones qui écoutent en ce moment? Merci.
Bonjour, Léonce du François.
Bonjour.
Welcome, Leon.
Bonjour, Léonce.
Right. Well, I would leave this to you, Soraya. You can take it away from here. We have as well online, Lyle is not here, so you've seen his photo, and we have the man who's behind the scenes quite a bit, Sean Paddy, who is the PI rep, the PI chair for next year. Sean has been an old soldier within the Rotary district team, so he's no stranger to this. So I don't know why he hasn't shown himself and he's acting as Lyle, but hi, Sean. Okay, Soraya, over to you.
Okay, thank you.
We might just want everybody to just mute their mics. So, and if they have a question, there is if you go to the bottom of your screen, you see chat, just pop that up. You can raise your hand or ask some questions, okay? Let's go.
Okay, so welcome again, Presidents, to what is our second session in the Prefects online series. And today we are touching on two topics: running your meeting and running your club. So at this point, I'm going to share our PowerPoint presentation with you, and we will proceed from there. So just bear with me for 2 minutes. So we proceed from here. As we indicated, Nigel is the incoming district trainer. I am your incoming district secretary. And I certainly don't have the Rotary history that Nigel has, but I'm hoping to learn very, very quickly. So this is your year as president. And as we learned last week, planning is absolutely critical to achieve a successful Rotary year. Your plan, however, needs to be holistic and all-encompassing, So the focus is not only on service projects, but planning for the actual running of your club and your weekly meeting, which is without a doubt the heartbeat of any club, as this is where fellowship and fun begins. Consider that you are likely to have, say, at minimum 45 meetings in your Rotary year. You would already be aware that as president, your responsibilities will extend to club administration, financial management, branding, to name a few, captured under the umbrella of running your club. Now, while these tasks or activities may be assigned to other club leaders or chairs, you do have overall responsibility and will need to monitor the activities. So this area of running your club will be discussed in the second half of the session and facilitated by District Trainer Nigel. I will focus on running your meetings. So in preparation for your year, you should have already read the Lead Your Club President Manual, which is up on your screen. And if you notice, we actually have the index here running, showing the session. If you have not, then hopefully we can stir your interest and desire to know more about leading for a successful year. In any event, we'll be touching on a few of the areas listed in the manual here this evening. Two other documents you should be reading: Be a Vibrant Club, Your Club Leadership Plan, and Rotary Club Health Check. Be a Vibrant Club serves to guide your club leadership plan and offers 10 tips to help you succeed. The Health Check is self-explanatory and seeks to evaluate how members feel about their Rotary experience, and again offers suggestions to deal with any issues and set you on the right track. You may be asking, how do I find these? So if you have a My Rotary account, and I'm guessing that you all do, in fact, I'm pretty sure that you all do, then you simply need to be logging into Rotary.org, learning references, under membership, scroll down to access your club, and you will find the documents that we are referring to here. I am sharing other pages of relevance on My Rotary to you during your year, and so you should familiarize yourself with how to access. And if there are any questions relative to accessing Rotary online, if you could please make a note in the chat room, and we will address at the end of the session. So this is a page on Rotary.org, learn by topic, learn by role, about Rotary, everything you actually need to help you have a successful year. This is the slide page, rather, managed club and district administration, which will become, I imagine, very familiar to you during the year. If you look at it closely, you'll see that Rotary Club Central, which is a link that you will have to access very frequently to monitor and to actually upload your activities as you proceed. So running your meetings. This is exactly as it looks in your manual, and we're just going to touch on a few areas here this evening. So your club admin committee has responsibility for the setup of all your meetings, and it's suggested that your secretary and treasurer be a part of this committee. But of course, you are also fully involved in the planning as well. So during the year, several meeting types will be convened: board meetings, club assemblies, meetings for the governor or assistant governors, some more serious than others, but we must not forget in all that we do the element of fun and fellowship in Rotary. Your weekly meeting is the heartbeat of your club, as you want members to have fun and to have an engaging and rewarding club experience. So how do we do this? We talk about having fun, but believe it or not, you have to plan and work to ensure that desired outcome. As president, according to your Lead Your Club manual, you are responsible for running, engaging, and fun club meetings, board meetings, and club assemblies. You're also required to prepare for the district governor's visits from your assistant governor, indicated. You'll notice an activity there on your screen, oversee the club's reporting requirements, and check with the club secretary. While you're responsible for this activity, this is something that we will expand on with your secretaries, but you are encouraged to read up on it in the manual where the actual reporting requirements, both for Rotary International and the district, are outlined. So here we are again, run engaging and fun club meetings.
Sonara,
Yes,
we have some stuff here that you're coming in and out. I think you need to, if you're using a microphone, just hold it closer to your mouth, please.
Okay. I have a headpiece on, so maybe I'll take it off. Okay, can you hear me better? Is that better?
A lot better, yes.
Okay, great. So run engaging and fun club meetings, board meetings and club assemblies. But how do you do this? I would like to start off by urging members to be prepared. Ensure that you have an agenda for your meeting, right? To start off your year, you may want to conduct a membership satisfaction survey if you think necessary to find out what your members would like to see at your meeting and create changes from here. But we would like this session to be interactive. So at this point, if I could ask for a few ideas in the chat box, please, in terms of running, engaging, and fun club meeting. Anybody?
We need some kind of input from you guys. How do you think you're gonna have a great icebreakers? That's a
the technical side of things. So just
So while we wait for some ideas from the presidents here, President-elect, you may not agree, but as a president, I like to think of our weekly Rotary Club meetings as putting on a show for members.
Okay,
a show
so
that is fun. We have some ideas?
yeah, we have some ideas. Giselle has icebreakers, which is a good one, especially with the newer members. You need to have them there. Good. Suggest the interaction with members. Asante, more fellowship time. That's a great one. Least invite speakers in your meeting. Jen says more social events with members. All great. Raul, indeed, invite interesting speakers. Presentation by speakers. My suggestion is each meeting a Rotary 5-minute education, which is actually quite a great suggestion. A lot of us stay in Rotary and don't do very much to go along with the flow. Invite speakers that are interested. You talk about weekly meetings. I thought this is not any more mandatory. Yes, that's quite correct. Weekly being a very broad term, Lise. We say weekly, but we know that several clubs do not meet weekly. Invite new members. Trudy says invite new members to introduce themselves. I would like to see our club get more guest speakers. That's great. Yeah, all of these are great ideas. We may be having a virtual meeting, more virtual meetings. That's great. All these are great ideas. Great ideas, everyone. Back to you.
Awesome. So it looks like our job is done here in terms of running your meetings. But this is excellent. We do have some ideas ourselves that we noted. We first on the list, punctuality. as we believe Rotarians need to exhibit that quality. After all, we are professionals. So whatever type of meeting that you're having, we encourage that we start on time and finish on time. So continuing on, engaging speakers on topical matters. I think that idea came up already. Provide reports on the progress of projects, reports on the achievements of members, have a different type of meeting at a different place. So you may want to alternate your meeting venue. I know for our club, we've done it more than once for sure, where we've had luncheon meeting on a cruise ship that comes in. We're just fortunate enough to have that, but it just gives you an idea of the different type of meeting that you can have. We also have noted what about PIS, and PIS actually stands for Partner in Service, and it's a good idea to have activities that incorporate your partners and as well family members. After all, that is what Rotary is about. Someone also mentioned set up a schedule for members to give vocational talks already. You could invite your youth clubs to share their project initiatives. Also incorporate fun quizzes or Rotary Jeopardy into your meeting as well. Or even have a vocational service outing in lieu of a meeting. So you may decide to have a visit to a brewery or some other manufacturing plant that you can have in lieu of a meeting, which follows very closely with a fellowship or some sort of a line. Because all of these serve to ensure that we connect on many levels and bond as members.
Sanara,
Yes.
I just want to come in here. It's something that we did recently. When I say recently, within the last 2 years.
Right.
Our club meets on a Wednesday, and we are a lunch meeting. But there are several members who, our club is about 50 members, so it's not a small club. And people were getting difficulty in coming to meetings. So what we did was every 5th Wednesday, what we do now is we have a night meeting, but instead of the formality of the meeting, it's more we incorporating both the partners in service as well as our meeting, in that we have a fellowship meeting where we get together with the partners in service. It isn't our official meeting, but it's like on the 5th Wednesday. So that's just an idea of something different that you can do. It's something that we have done. And quite honestly, it has had great results. We get more people at those meetings than we get during the normal course of the week, simply because it's also, people get time to relax. The other thing we try to do, because of a lot of us are on shutdown or we're in between several things going on in Trinidad right now. We had an online meeting, and I noticed someone said in the have more online meetings.
Online meetings, yeah.
And I think it's something of the future. Rotary's whole method of having meetings has changed dramatically over the years, and certainly the attendance that was strict years ago is no longer as strict as it is now. So there are ways of making meetings and making up, and it's far easier now. So I think those are some methods that the incoming presidents can just look at, but it all comes back to what suits your club.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is for the club leadership to look at the meeting structure, to make sure that your members are engaged whenever you choose to have your meetings, right? Because in order to retain members, they must feel connected, right? One other point that I just wanted to mention is about the Sergeant at Arms. I felt that I had to talk about the Sergeant at Arms, because the Sergeant at Arms in our club is in charge of fun. And so if you think that the job is to just simply set up the room and call for order, not at all. If you think that the job simply entails collecting fines, not at all. I was fortunate to have had during my year what I believe was the best Sarge of all times. And I do believe that after a while that Rotarians came just to listen to him. But I think you understand where I'm going with this, because there's nothing like humor and laughter to connect us all. As Rotary, at the end of the day, is about fun and fellowship, and we want to make sure that whatever meeting that we're having, we bear that in mind. So participating in service and having fun with fellow members are the primary reason Rotarians join and stay in Rotary. The healthiest clubs vary their activities and offer multiple ways to get involved. And so what we are encouraging here is that you try a new kind of social event or a different service experience and watch the impact on your This is an open forum for members only, such that there can be open and frank discussions on Rotary matters. And I believe you're all very much familiar with club assemblies. Governor's visit. In preparation for your visit, President should ensure that the club's strategic plans are complete for sharing with the governor. Considering that your plan is in place prior to the 1st of July, this of course should not be an issue. But you should plan to include all members of your Rotary family in your various meetings, such that the governor has a good feel for Rotary and how it impacts in your territory. Would like to mention here that the assistant governors are the DG's representatives and should be treated as such as well. So these are essentially the primary meeting types that will be convened during your year. And if you plan appropriately, you should achieve the desired level of success with your meetings. You're encouraged to be creative, think outside the box, because Rotary certainly has given you that flexibility, and have fun with your members throughout your year. Thank you.
Soraya.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, lady here. I really wanted to float the idea of going back to the meetings and how it could possibly make the meetings more interesting.
Yes.
I mentioned in the chat about corporate invites. I just want to clarify what I meant by corporate invites to the meetings. I'm always concerned about the sponsors who we rely on to finance a lot of our projects. But many of them are not in our club as members. Some of them have never been to our Rotary meeting. We can take, for example, a client everybody knows. Let's say Massey. Massey gets hit on a lot for sponsorship for various things. We have nobody currently from Massey in our club. I'm thinking if we introduce what we call a corporate invite, where we invite the management team of Massey or any other company for that matter to join us for lunch on any given lunch day. And it could be, and I would suggest at their expense also, to just come and lunch with Rotary and see and experience and get to see firsthand what we do at Rotary, who we are, what are the things we're involved in. And in that way, we fill up a lot of empty seats at lunch, and we also get the message out to the people who we call on all the time to support our projects. So I think that's one idea we could explore going forward. We can do it with more than one company on any given lunch. It doesn't have to be limited to just one company, but it's a way of bringing in people to see what we do and hear what we do.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that's an excellent idea. Rotary actually encourages a corporate membership. So that may actually be a good move to increase our numbers, increase Rotarians, because we may very well get a Massey management team interested enough in Rotary so that they actually become members of Rotary. Because it is something that Rotary encourages. And lunching with us, with them is actually a perfect start.
One other thing that you may want to explore is you have a corporate sponsorship appreciation day at lunch where you actually celebrate your sponsors as a general thank you. And you also get able to kill two birds with one stone in that you're able to thank them as well as show off the projects that you do as well.
Yep. Thank you, Lathan.
Mhm.
Any other comments?
I don't know if you can hear me, but I think that virtual meetings will become a thing of the future. We had our first regular meeting virtually on Tuesday, and I just left a board meeting that we were having this evening, a first virtual meeting as well. So that's something else that we should think about for the future, because notwithstanding the coronavirus and all the rest of it, you know, it is sometimes difficult to get to meetings, and that discourages persons from participating. And Rotary is much more than just attending meetings. It's about being involved in projects and all the rest of it. There are some of our members who can't make meetings but are very involved in projects. We want to encourage that. So I think offering that as an option moving forward is something, because I was at the St. Lucia's meeting on Friday, cognizant of the fact that we probably wouldn't have gatherings like that for a while. And quite rightly, the following week, that evening, everything changed. So I think that's something we should take on board and consider, as we're doing now, virtual meetings.
Trudy, I agree with you that virtual meetings is something that we will probably all go to, but it has to be club specific. And this is where, and this is just my opinion, a lot of things that are handed down from RI, I think we try and fit everybody in, or a lot of people are trying to fit into a mold that doesn't suit us. So whereas virtual meetings may be far better for a very tech-savvy club, technically challenged clubs may not want to do the same thing. So it comes back to the dynamics and the culture of the club, which should be individual and for that club, as well as what the club wants. So really and truly, it is up to the club's dynamics, I believe, to choose how they want to have their meetings. We've had board meetings, we've had committee meetings, and we had our first club meeting virtually today, simply because we are now literally locked down in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's a new way of doing it. Not everybody wanted to join, and some could not join because they were having some tech problems. But yes, I agree, it's where we're going. One of the things we need to look at is what the club members feel about it. It shouldn't be, I'm seeing your comment. I didn't mean virtual meetings only, but after perhaps one meeting a month. But yeah, as I said, it all has to do with the club dynamics. Our board meetings, for instance, it's 12 of us on the board, and we each do a meal at someone's house. And each person prepares the meal for the other 11. So we turn it into a fellowship. The board meeting, finish the board meeting, and have a great fellowship with the board. So my club may not want to go for that, other clubs may. So I hope that it all depends on the club dynamics. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get on. Is this my part now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I just want, if you can just show of hands, how many of you have been presidents before?
Me.
If you just put it hand raise or yes in the chat, let me see. Okay. So how many of you have been secretary before? 19 years ago. Okay. And how many of you have been Rotarians for less than 5 years? No one? Secretary, yes, less than 5 years. Okay. Less than 5 years. Okay. Less than 5. Okay. Let me first of all go to the presidents who are returning. Presidents who are returning, and I'm seeing that the person who is there, you were president 19 years ago. So that means 18 years ago, yeah, Lathan. So that means that your club has gone through a cycle of 19 years, which seems to tell me that your membership may be either waning at this point in time, or later on you've suddenly come into a lot of available time that you volunteered your services. But what I would say is what it also suggests is that if you didn't volunteer your services, your club may be struggling to get someone at this point in time. So while I'm not looking for an answer for that, I'm just trying to show you the signals to look for. Rotarians who are now the club presidents, and you're less there than 5 years, your role will be significantly challenged, and let me explain that. There's a lot of history that goes before you, and a lot of people will say, well, that's not the way we did it, or that's not the way we have done it. And the bottom line is you need to get 1 or 2 people on your board who understand the history of the club. And I'm saying that because being there less than 5 years, you don't quite appreciate the full culture of the club. Lathan, I don't know if you can just open your mic here and just say something about the culture of our club, seeing that you were there 19 years ago.
Well, the culture in our club, it runs deep. It runs deep, but over the years we have had a few younger Rotarians who have come on board. So the culture has changed. It has changed substantially, but there are a few diehards, and it's going to be difficult to change them because they're pretty much set in their ways. But it hasn't really affected the club in terms of how we function. I think people are open-minded enough to get along and get the work done. But I consider myself from the old school, having been in the club now for about 25 years. And but I am not locked on to all the old traditions. While I embrace some of them and they're very dear to me, I'm quite open to the new ideas and to explore new things. And I think most of the guys are like that, and girls.
Right, great. And what I was getting at is for the person who's been less than 5 years, is really if you have a problem, Club Lathan, it's those diehards I'm talking about, they do tend to be just that, diehards. And so you just need to be mindful of them as you have your year. Those who have been secretary, I would say you are far more fortunate in the sense that you already understand the administration of the club. And in understanding the administration of the club, it makes it easier for you to function as a president going forward. One of the comments, okay, if you go forward, next slide, please. Past Rotaractors, Soraya. Next slide. Okay, right. We have some clubs here who are past Rotaractors only. That's a great club, full of energy, I guess. And oh, Trudy says it is a requirement to be secretary of our club to be considered a president. That's a great tradition. However, that's not a Rotary rule, but it's a great thing to have. Okay, so last week I said we were told learn from our past, and we need to. So one of the things that I need to find out is why you all joined Rotary. If we can just get some quick answers, why did you join? And have you enjoyed it? Have you enjoyed your time? I guess all will be yes, but if you can have, why did you join? Okay, apart from the free drinks from Sean, not everything is free. You seem to be on the drink spot this evening. Okay, what's I'm seeing here, and that's great, is that a lot of people have history with Rotary. The slide that we saw before, that people join Rotary to have fun and to take part in the projects. Third generation, great. The camaraderie, yeah, 45 years ago I was an interactor. Wow, you've been in this a long time, Lathan. Grew up in Rotary service, yeah. That's great, great, great. So we have a history of Rotary, and we've all enjoyed it. Next slide, please. Why you're hearing me calling for the next slide is that we did have, we tried this earlier, and we had some in handed over, we had a little challenge, technical challenges. Okay, running your club. These are the several things that you will find in that book that Soraya told you should have read. I know very well that you have not read it, to tell the truth. Oh, I'm just pulling your leg. Most of you would have read it by now, or at least opened it. And I'm not going to go through the Rotary Club standards, your club constitution and bylaws. Several of you should be aware of that. I'm assuming you've sat on the board before. Just remember that the bylaws need to be adopted at the first meeting of every board, because the bylaws of what your club runs by. The Rotary online tools. This subject is a little long, so I would want to cover that under a different heading altogether, a complete session by itself, which will include, and we'll come to that in the end, the reporting requirements and financial requirements likewise. But what I really want to go to is the risk management associated with the club. And next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the risk. As presidents, these are the things you have to be doing, overseeing the management of the club, the finance and the club invoices are paid. Now, you have 2 invoices from RI, which come on a 6-month process, which is at the 1st of July and the 1st of January. And there's one other invoice which comes from district. So you have, and district is only once a year. And what I would suggest is Please pay those in as quickly as possible. You can be struck off from RI if you don't pay them. So I would encourage you to pay them. Okay, encouraging members to attend district training meetings. It's slightly different this year. That is what would be assembly. We would be doing that online. I would I would really ask you to invite all your chairs who are taking part to attend those online meetings. They will be helpful. The risk associated with the club, which you do that in conjunction with your board and members, and make certain the Rotary logos are used properly. I am not going to touch that hot potato. That is a specialty of Sean Paddy, which he will be doing a complete presentation on that later on and during the course of the year. The next slide, please. Okay. Just type in for me what you think are your greatest risk. Annette, Mark, yes, the presentations will be shared. And Jen, yes, it's a pretty book. I'll open it, yes. Just let me know what you think are the greatest risks to your club at this point in time. Giselle, I'm surprised you browsed it and you did not know it backward and forward, the whole book. And Delbert Paris says, Rotary provided a platform that enabled me to give back nationally and in a different way. That's great. Great. Great responses, guys. Okay. Losing members, not engaging our young members, the average age of the membership, attendance and fun at meetings, those are risks, yeah. All right, let me start on some of them. Risk in not attracting new, highly organized members, attendance between, right. Fundraising for, I like that one. Fundraising for community projects. Okay. Attendance, all presentations will be made available via the district website. Right, okay. Let's go to the next slide for me, please. Those are all very good ideas as to what the risks are. The risk and what a lot of people, next slide, right. Y'all are talking about membership, and that is very big and current in RI, and probably why a lot of people are thinking along those lines. I'm going to go back to the planning of your year. Lyle, I don't think it's Lyle, it's DGN. Sonia said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Okay. I don't want to frighten anybody on this group chat, but you should have at least started thinking of what you will be doing. You should be liaising with the existing president, and your board members should be liaising with the present board members and chairs in the various groups, just to see that there is some continuity between the 2 years. Rotary is the only organization in the world I know that changes its board every single year. So if there's no continuity from one to the next, you are going to be starting from ground zero. And if you don't plan, ground zero will start on July 1, and you will not be able to implement anything until as early as probably late September, early October. So what I'm suggesting is you get your budgets in place, ask the president, existing president, what your budgets are, look at the president, what your commitments are from last year's board as a club while you are not committed to do anything from a previous board. I think it's very important for the Rotary clubs to maintain its image that you do at least finish the projects and the whatever commitments you have. Delegate, and I'm talking this especially to the presidents. Presidents, you have a board working with you. Please delegate to several of the members on that board. You are not a superhero. Those are fictional characters that Marvel has. It's a great blockbuster, but you will wear yourselves out. When I first joined Rotary, I remember, I joined in Groselay, where Lyle was the charter president. And I always remember the point being made that Rotary comes fifth in our lives. And I'll explain that. We have our family life, we have our jobs, we have our churches who we deal with, those things. And then everything else, then Rotary. So it is a process that it takes up a lot of our precious spare time, and therefore delegate as much as possible. When I delegate, I turn to the people I know deliver well for me. Okay, membership loss, I think all of us are aware of that. Soraya went through the keeping your meetings exciting. You all said more interesting speakers, change it up a little bit, have some fun meetings, all that. Try and engage your new members as well early. Communication. I think Lyle touched on this, communication, the inflection of one's voice, but not everything I'm saying is how it's being interpreted on the other side. So if you need to be crystal clear, make sure that the person who is getting that message clearly understands what you're trying to tell them. I was an assistant coordinator, Rotary coordinator several years ago. And in Chicago, this was one of the things that was one of the topics that was chosen to discuss, because what happens is that you may send out information to members of your club and they don't quite understand the message you're sending, and it comes out completely incorrectly on the other side. So the interpretation of the message is correct. It is incorrect, sorry, into what you had intended. The other part of it is we are bombarded with social media and WhatsApp and Messenger and every other form of communication because of our smartphones. Please do not get inundated. Don't think you have to answer everything immediately. 3 days ago, I turned off my phone. It was just too much coming through it. When Trinidad decided to go on a shutdown, I turned it off. I just could not handle it anymore. Okay, so some of the, coming down to financial risk now, I'm seeing two here. Sponsorship is getting less by the day and donor fatigue. Soraya, just go back to the last one for me, please. The last slide before I go on. I think I had there where RI funds, yeah. You need to pay those invoices, please. I mentioned that before. That's very important. The fundraisers for your club, important that you're always aware of where you are. And what do I mean by that? Know what your break-even situation is, okay? The last thing you want to do as a president is to commit to a project that is going to lose money. So if you know, let's take an easy one, a barbecue, and you need $5,000 to break even, see if you can, you need to sell the minimum amount of tickets that will bring in that $5,000. Everything after that is gravy. So you need to make sure as the president, as the fundraiser committee, and I am strongly suggest you have a fundraising committee in place, that you do that and you make sure and you push your sales. Once you have gotten past that break-even point, you're then in the clear and then you can rest. Just remember that this year coming is going to be extremely difficult for the incoming presidents because, well, like in my club, we roll over money from one year to the next. So we normally leave the incoming president with a little bit, some money to start his or her year with. This year, because we've had to cancel 2 of our major fundraisers, that is going to be a challenge for the new president. So we are trying to come up with ways to make sure that we can leave money in the coffers. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, fundraising. Make sure you have an effective fundraising plan, but make sure you follow best financial practices all the time. Promote the transparency of where the funds are going and good stewardship. Report the funds in accordance with the local laws. Now, in Trinidad and Tobago, as of June this year, we're going to be faced with where all the NGOs and all the various nonprofit organizations have to be registered. If that is part of your policy, your laws in the islands that you are in, I would strongly suggest that you do that. Make sure that, and in Trinidad, I think it's the 30th of June this year. So the present board must be responsible for this. And let me be clear on something here. From what I understand, with the law in Trinidad and Tobago, the president, or I should say the officers of the organization, which will include the president, the treasurer, and the secretary. I don't think it includes the directors, but certainly the president, the treasurer, and the secretary in Trinidad and Tobago can be fined as much as up to $20,000 individually and thrown in jail for a period of 6 months. And you certainly wouldn't want that for the sake of being the president of a Rotary club. So what I would suggest you all do is please ensure, get legal advice, please ensure that you are compliant with all the local laws in your country. All right. The chair of your fundraising events. That chair is responsible for signing off on all the expenses. And those expenses must be bona fide expenses to the charity, please. Make sure that that is done, because the next thing is what will happen in the future is if it is not placed into the proper hands or used improperly, you will start to lose your membership, your sponsorship, sorry. And Raul noted that sponsorship is getting less by the day. And Alvina said it's donor fatigue we're suffering from. We all go back to the same people for the same things, but it's barbecue tickets, golf teams, it's the same people we keep on going back to. And the other thing is issue receipts to your donors. Some of them may be able to qualify as tax deductible events. Please help them to come back to you. If you've promised to sponsor, to put their names in the paper, and you can't get the sponsor's name in the paper, please call the sponsor before and at least try to explain. A telephone call goes a long way in trying to get people to understand your predicament. Okay, next one is what we have not covered. We haven't covered the working with your district. I think we could go to the next slide, Soraya. Yeah. What we haven't discussed as yet are the online tools, the reporting requirements, which we will do with the secretary and the treasurer, the financial management, secretaries and treasurers as well, and working with the district to be part of the AG, and it might be a smaller group. What is going to happen this year, particularly, and it's still in the discussion phase with DGE Lyle, we may be broadcasting through the AGs, and we would ask you to get together in small groups with your AGs to at least have some type of interaction with the AG and your fellow clubs on a smaller scale, but we will be doing it as part of the training. Let me just tell you all that this is far more challenging for you all this year from the sake of lack of funds. We have COVID-19 in our area. We have not met at pets. You have not had the camaraderie and the ability to link up with one another. So the idea of being able to call another president-elect or get to know someone else has been greatly reduced. And your actual interaction with people like myself, Soraya, DGE Lyle, well, you will get to see him on his visit, have been greatly reduced. So that bonding on a personal level will not happen. My philosophy for this is we take it to the next level. We stay in touch as much as possible through email. If anyone has any questions, send them to me. I have no problem answering questions as far as I can. But certainly, this is going to be a challenging year for all of you. I would hope that your president, your immediate past presidents, share some of that with you all, because your challenges are going to be far greater going forward. And I think that brings me to the end of my discussion. Any questions, anybody? I'm very happy to take any questions. If you want to turn on your mics and ask the questions. Annette wants to form a chat. Annette, go right ahead. I'm very happy that I've never met the Aruba team. Gert, is it? I haven't been on the district for quite a while, and certainly not since the Aruba Curacao came on. I was district secretary when that move was afoot. So I know that it was coming. So welcome. I've never had the opportunity to welcome you all personally. No questions. I agree. Let's form a WhatsApp chat group. Okay. I have no problem. Who wants to form it? Get some administrators. Soraya, you want to be part of the administration of this? Soraya, we're not hearing you.
I think Linda had her hand up. No?
Soraya, you're muted. Soraya, you're muted.
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Okay.
My apologies. Yes. So yes, I'd be happy to support that. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I am trying to do this year, I did it several years ago when the foundation was changing, and I traveled quite a bit, going to the various islands and doing training on a Saturday in those islands. Getting around the Caribbean is very difficult, but anybody who thinks that that will be a good move in getting trainers to come in there with you all, please let DG Lyle know. I'll be happy to be part of it, even if it's from a Skype perspective or a Zoom perspective. A lot is lost, as I said, without the personal contact, but I'm willing to help wherever. Somebody has their hand up. Yeah, good. Go ahead. You need to unmute yourself.
Good now? You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Last year, we tried to have several trainings from the Rotary International, and it was, and maybe Raoul knows that the same thing. There was a requirement of at least 20 participants, and we tried to have that combined even with the other islands, and it was not possible. So we wanted to have training one. There were, I believe, there were 3 trainings to be done, and at least it was a lot of difficulty getting that done, and at the end of the day, it didn't work out. Even if we said, well, maybe if we cannot reach the 20 participants, maybe we pay for 20, and then at least you'll be able to come over. And they did not. So maybe if you are closer by.
Okay. I will try as best as possible with DG Lyle to see how best we can accommodate you. I can't make any promises at this point in time, but I will certainly try and see how that can be accommodated this year. What areas in particular did you want to have training in? And that may be where we start if any one of the islands think that they need additional training. Maybe we can look at that and then decide who best and who's nearest can come and deal with it.
Yes, okay. I will double check again what it is that we. There were 3 trainings that need to be followed, and
okay.
We would try to combine them at once, and it was not possible. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I will look it up, and if you have your email in the chat group, then I will let you know what it is. Okay.
Okay. It's a pleasure to help wherever I can.
Thank you.
Giselle, I haven't heard from you. You only type in, Giselle.
One question, Nigel, and maybe for Soraya. This is Robert Hahn from Rotary Club of Paramaribo residents. Unfortunately, I missed last week's session, but is there any news on what's going to happen with the pets, or is this the replacement for pets?
Okay, so I guess that's mine.
That's your question.
This was, okay, so what we're doing here was basically we were going to go through the President's Manual with you all before pets, so that when you came to pets, it would not be totally new. And why we were going with this approach is that for several years as trainer, I would stand up in the podium and see people who did not know why they were there. And it was all new to them. So this pre-pets online was just an icebreaker for you going to pets. So to answer your question, Robert, this is not all of it. We still have more to add apart from what we have advertised, because we were going to do this and then have pets. So what is not in pets, we need to still do, but some of it would be with the various chairs that you have. So those training programs are still to come. and they need to be added on to the ones that we already have. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Okay, so we will get some more information on that or get the extra invites for that.
Yes.
So the already scheduled sessions are not, there will be more, including for the treasurers and the secretary, like I saw on your last slide, that there will be sessions with the, okay.
Yes.
I will prepare them for that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
Nigel, before you go, how do we, in light of everything that's going on, how do we motivate our boards from this point out, given that we're lacking that aspect of getting together and building that camaraderie? This was supposed to be the month that I kicked off my board, and we started our team building efforts, socials, just to get my board going. But in light of everything happening, that's not going to happen. And there's only so much that can be communicated via an online platform. So any advice that you have, I'd greatly appreciate.
Okay. How many members are in your club?
We are a club of 94.
94. So it's a large club.
It is.
Okay. I will tell you what I did when I was president. And you mightn't get the time to do all of it, but I used to have small meetings of about 5 or 6 people, a couple of bottles of wine and some snacks at my home, but each member brought their partner in service. So it turned into be a little get together where I got to know both the partners in service as well as the get to know the Rotarian a little better, who was on my board. And at those meetings, we would just shoot the breeze about what they would like to do, what my thought process was on it. And one of the slides that would have been, I think, were originally on was, why did Paul Harris form Rotary? And it was all about fellowship. What we do now is we have gone past the fellowship and we're much a service-oriented club. But I think if you go back to that foundation of why we were first formed, that was for fellowship, and get to know the members a little bit, get to know their partners in service. Because one of the issues always is, unless you know what is going on in that person's life, you don't appreciate why they're not at your meeting or why they couldn't make your meeting. And it may be something very simple that they're not sharing with you at the time, simply because they're not that close to you at the time. So, Alvina, what I would suggest you do is try and get together in probably smaller groups and let everybody know what you're doing, so no one feels that, or you're having secretive meetings without them. Just let them know. Okay, somebody says your convention got canceled, folks. Okay. I just think it's important that you get to know everybody who would be working with you, and you try to work with them. And remember, it's a human organization. We all have problems. So try and just understand that and move forward with it. I hope that helps you.
Yes, thank you much.
Okay. Okay, we're running out of time. I'm happy to stay here if people want to stay. But we've run the full gamut of, we've gone over, and I trust that you have had a wonderful evening. I thank you for attending, and I promise I will come to Aruba to train people. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Any last words, Soraya?
No, just to say thank you, everyone, and look out for next week's session. And please, if you could reach out to your other presidents in your territories, your individual territories, and encourage them to join in to our online session.
Okay,
Thank
before we go, Soraya, there's some questions here. Let me just, Annette has a question. Annette's question was, please excuse my shameless.
Slides.
How do I raise my hand? Okay. You will see a chat. If you go to the bottom, you see chat. Just hit the chat button, and a side window should come up with raise your hand, and everybody who was on the chat group. I'm new to this as well, Annette, so don't think it's only you. To be honest with you, Soraya and myself had an hour session before this to pretend that we knew what we were doing. Huh? It's not a bad
Well, someone's asking, I should have mentioned about the slides. We will send out the slides via email for
Yes.
this session and the session last week. And
Okay.
intend to make them available as we go along, both in English and in French.
Yes, and the French will also be having a similar session.
Correct.
Yes, okay. All right, folks, have a great time. I'm sorry I don't get to meet all of you. You seem like a great bunch. Best of luck with your year. I think you'll probably see me. I think I'm doing next week soon as well, Soraya. Am I?
Okay.
I think so. And it deals with someone has a question. No. Okay. It deals with your projects.
Yes.
And I touched on it a little earlier today as to various areas. And then we'll tell you a little more about planning your projects. But thanks a lot, everybody. And I'm going to be signing off now.
Thank you. Bye.